and Cailin, back again with Double Talk. I'm Hannah. And I'm Cailin. For years, misogyny in sitcoms has been buried under laugh tracks, and deadbeat husbands use superficial charm to get their wives to wait on them hand and foot, putting sitcom women's own aspirations on the back burner. Kevin Can F Himself, starring Annie Murphy and Mary Hollis Inboden, is a show that's turning the sitcom stereotype on its head and forcing viewers to look beyond the laughter and see the societal problems hidden underneath the comedy. Listen in as we chat with Mary Hollis about her character Patty's transformation through the season, what it's like working on a show that alternates between single and multi-cam setups and dramatic shifts in tone, and her on and off-screen love for Annie Murphy. When I first heard your southern accent, I was so, like, my jaw dropped, and it just goes to show how well you do with Patty. I mean, that accent. And I heard that your accent has changed a lot since the first audition. How else has the character evolved since that first audition day? Because I know sometimes you go and do an audition and you have to, like, wing it. Like, you have no idea, you just have log lines and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I got to read the first episode, which was so helpful, but I almost didn't go in for the audition at all for two reasons. One was because casting was so adamant that we were able to do a pretty good, genuine Boston accent, because the people of Boston are rightly so proud, you know, of their home place. So that, you know, with this natural twang that I have a hard time just doing like a regular standard American accent anyway. So then you add Boston on top of it. That almost freaked me out enough to just stay home and count myself out. And I think actors do that a lot, where we take on the role of casting and just say like, I couldn't possibly do that, or that's not for me. And note to all actors out there watching, if anybody is like, that's not our job to, step in for casting and call those shots. So I got past that first hurdle. And the second hurdle with auditioning for Patty is I thought that she was so completely different from me. And while I do think that I'm an equipped actor, I was so worried about her toughness and sort of in the pilot, her not being, drawn out in the way that we see her become in the series. So I thought she was a little bit one note. And I think the reason why I ended up staying with the character is because of that scene in the first episode with Allison, where I'm able to disclose that Kevin has spent all their money. And I just kept going back to why that female character, after spending 10 years with this other female character in Kevin's universe, they've never really spoken before. And this is the inciting incident for Allison. And if Patty is the one telling her that, I thought there's more going on here, and hang with her. So 2 hurdles passed, jumped over. And in my original audition, I'm not pleased to say that I didn't do a Boston accent or pull that off in any way. I did a full New York accent, which is very different. But I think we got there. I mean, I'm pleased and proud of Patty's accent as I finally, as I developed her.
I'm trying to get into her head because I think she's such an interesting character. She said, she kind of teased Allison at the beginning, I think it was the first episode, for wanting something more out of her life. She kind of said, like, what are these dreams that you have? I don't understand. She says that she's just accepted her life for what it is. And I always wondered, even then, like, did she really mean that?
That's a great question. I think that yes, Patty is someone who seemingly has grown complacent over the years. Allison never has. Allison has, spent the last 10 years continuing to dream of better for her and for her numbnut husband, Kevin. Believe it or not, she wants to help him out and, further their life together, and thinks that they can have dreams as a couple. Patty, I think, is honest when she says that, we're just girls from Worcester. We're not supposed to dream past this block, really, And it's not until later in the season which we start to see that Patty, the only reason she's able to function in Kevin's universe as a sort of non-character with not much to do, is she's got all these secrets that we get to peel back and learn about. 1, she's a drug dealer. 2, she's probably had feelings for women for a long time that she would never tell the guys about, you know, because for fear of getting made fun of in Kevin's universe. So I think that Patty is honest when she says that there's nothing, don't ruffle any feathers and don't try to have a bigger life or bigger dreams. It's not until she continues to hang out with Allison, this dreamer, that she starts really thinking, oh, wait a minute, maybe there is more to us. And it's so much easier to sort of complete those dreams, or at least follow them with a pal, right? Like with a confidant and a friend. And these women start supporting each other. And we see, obviously, that a lot of chaos ensues. And Patty just is able to like burst right open and become more her authentic self.
And by the end of the season, it becomes clear that this relationship that Patty and Allison have is more than just a close friendship. Did you know, because I mean, I think it depends from what I hear on the writers and how they do that, but did you know that that's where the relationship was headed from the way beginning?
I didn't. I thought, I certainly thought within the first, 4 episodes or so that the goal was to make them friends, like very close friends who get into a lot of trouble together. And one thing that I love about Kevin Can Fuck Himself so much is that these women suffer the consequences of their own actions and also the men that they're surrounded by, right? The men never have to suffer any consequences of their actions. They can say whatever they want. It's pierced by this laugh track going on, and we don't stop and think about all the hurtful things that they say, the misogynistic things that they say, how they're sort of wreaking havoc on their community and the women in their lives. And for Patty and Allison, I think I just always assumed that they would become like the closest friends. And it's still sort of up for debate. If we're blessed with a season 2, I know that Patty's sexuality is so important to kind of busting open the trope of the neighbor, best friend, tough gal, one of the guys. That's all code for Patty Patty might like women. And so I'm not sure that that's completely reciprocated by Allison. But I think just the idea that they've got this super, super tight bond is really special to our show. And whether Allison reciprocates the feelings that Patty might have for her, we'll have to wait and see.
Valerie Armstrong, I think, has said that Patty did realize that she was in love with her best friend. But yeah, I was going to ask what you think as far as if Allison reciprocates.
We don't know yet. I think Allison is so single-minded in our first 8 episodes about trying to, get rid of Kevin and kill him. And, obviously it's a dark comedy. We're jumping the shark. We're not condoning spousal, murder. We're killing the idea of Kevin in sitcoms. That's what we're doing. But I think for Allison, her journey is so sort of singular that it's hard for her to recognize truly anything else that's going on. So Patty is sort of like peeling these layers back of herself and trying to get to a place where she's not as uncomfortable or insecure. And so I'm not even sure that Allison would be able to recognize that. It's not that she's inconsiderate of Patty. They've needed each other every step of the way. I think that Allison has a great affinity for Patty and their strong friendship, but right now Allison needs her to help complete this task and can't see past that, right? So it's hard to know. I mean, in my dream in a second season, and I'm not Valerie Armstrong, who I believe is brilliant, but I think in my dream, Allison might use that information to continue to get what she wants, but I'm not sure that it's a genuine love relationship with the two of them.
They have other things to worry about at this point, with Kevin still around.
Honestly, ladies, if we think about it, Patty and Allison are truly just while they're trying to kill Kevin, they've spent 10 years trying to keep the men in their lives alive. Mm-hmm. I mean, my brother is constantly trying to burn down our house. Kevin is, threatening not to go to work. We're sometimes paying taxes. We're not paying taxes. I mean, if you listen to the things that these guys say, And then you think about the like repercussions on the women, you know, trying to keep them functioning in society. It's a lot of pressure and a lot of work. So that is the end game, yes, becomes like, let's get rid of Kevin. But for 10 years, we've been trying to keep these boys alive.
It's like you're dying to keep your husband alive. There are just so many Kevins in the world. That's one of the reasons why it's so interesting to watch. We all know a Kevin.
I think like in this COVID time, people can relate. Again, I'm in a dark comedy. We understand that. But, you know, in COVID times, a lot of partners were stuck in the house with, you know, each other. And I think people were like, so in a dream world, could I kill him? He's really been annoying me. Could I kill him?
And we definitely see a different Patty by the end of the season than we did at the beginning. I've seen people point out how the hair changes, like things are starting to change. Do you think that she's actually changed as a person, knowing Allison and going through what they've gone through, or do you think that she's just now more comfortable to kind of let that tough exterior fall to the wayside?
I think that there's trust that's been growing between them, and when there's trust, even with just one person, you've got to feel freer to be yourself and to love yourself as you are. And Patty certainly develops a confidence through her friendship with Allison that I think has that certainly like makes me very proud as you know, the woman playing this character, that she feels free enough and inspired enough, I guess, to really step out of her comfort zone and explore what life might be like if she weren't constantly so afraid that the boys would make fun of her. And I think that that's like a beautiful journey that Patty goes on. And I think that a lot of that has to do with just being in the presence of Allison, again, who is this dreamer and has these like bigger plans. And while Allison's plans turn from dream house to murder, Patty's are, I can get all these people on my back that I was trying to help in the first place, because Patty was altruistic from the start. She just wanted to help and run her little drug ring that wasn't supposed to be dangerous and it wasn't supposed to hurt anybody. It was only supposed to help people who couldn't get drugs because it was too expensive, right? It was all good in the beginning. Her intentions were good. And now I think, you know, we find that we're in a world of shit, excuse my language, and she and Allison really like have to rely on each other. But Patty is, can I talk about the hair real quick?
Yes, please.
So Patty, when I read her in the original script, Valerie Armstrong's script, she wore her clothes, her hair, and her makeup like armor. So when I went into audition, it was like I did this big like casino, like Peg Bundy hair, you know.
I saw the pictures. Yeah, you really nailed it. It was right off from the audition. It looked so good.
Thank you. Sometimes you like have to like make a big choice and you just like cross your fingers and hope that you've interpreted it right. But luckily Valerie left us with a great note. You know, this woman considers Foxwood casinos like a great place to go vacation. And so she starts, you know, in our show with this big hair, and you see her for the first time in the sunlight, and you can, one of the things I love so much about the show is in the multicam, we look, you know, pretty fresh, and the hair's like big and done, but when she steps outside and we're in single cam mode, it's armor. I mean, this hair is like entirely too much. It's extra. The eye makeup, like I was very insistent with Angela, my makeup artist back in Boston. I was like, I want a lot of blue eyeliner, and I want it to stop like right here, and I want it like hard lines, and then I want way too much lip liner and not enough lipstick. And you can see sort of all those mistakes in the sunlight, which I think is just an added bonus. This woman doesn't want anybody around her. Her clothes, her hair, her makeup are like, don't come near me. You're too close already. Stay back. I'm tough. I'll cut you. Stay back. And all she's doing is trying to get you to believe that she's not got this like heart of gold. And so by the end of episode 4, when we find ourselves in a world of trouble at the, on the road trip and with the trucker and the assault brought on by the hand of Patty, it scares her. And we decided that in the hit moment, her hair falls and she decides that that's who she's going to be now. So as silly as it might sound, it's actually like she just does become more comfortable almost from the outside in, like she doesn't need all that stuff, to feel, I think she starts to like herself. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
I never noticed that's when the change happened.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go watch that again. That's so cool.
The armor is sort of falling away.
Yeah.
She's done something bad. Allison they switch places. Allison becomes the tough one. Patty becomes the one with, breaking down in the car, being very small and like feeling in trouble. And from that moment on, they kind of change places where Patty becomes a lot more vulnerable and Allison becomes more tough.
How does the vibe on set, if at all, change depending on whether you're doing the single cam or the multi-cam? Is that mostly done in post, or do you feel that difference on set?
You certainly feel the genre difference is a big shift. And I think because while we filmed during COVID times, which I guess we continue to be in, but we were not vaccinated yet. We had 10 live audience members who would come in and be our laughers. And so in that, when we think about multicam in those days, we were fueled and sort of fed in those scenes by these laughers. And so it can't help but make you sort of function in a different pace, and you're brighter, and that every third line is a joke, if not more than that. So you're kind of, there's no time to really get a breath in, And so I feel like that is just, that energy is a little, it's a little addictive too. You start kind of feeding off that live audience vibe. And I know for Annie and I, as females in those scenes, we were always interested to have more to do, but on purpose. In Kevin's universe, the women are actually there to just be setup machines. So all our jobs are to go what are you doing, Kevin? And what's going on? And just piping in like one line here or there. So we never got anything really fun to do on the multicam days, but the environment and watching our brilliant guys in the multicam who are superb at what they do, that was very fun. It was just, the pace was so different. So then when we step out into single cam, I think as women, Annie and I would agree that we got to take a deep breath, have a slower, nuanced scene where we didn't feel like we were, chasing a laugh. It was just, it became real storytelling.
I want to ask you about working with Annie Murphy, because I was thinking about it. I don't think I've ever seen more people who know her and worked with her just unanimously say that she is the most down-to-earth person you can meet and work with. What's something we don't know about being Annie Murphy's partner in crime?
Her humor is pretty naughty sometimes.
Okay.
She's Canada's sweetheart. She is, she has a wicked sense of humor. And I think it's surprising because of how completely golden and sweet she is. She's sharp, and then she'll walk away. She just gets out of there. She is that good on and off screen. I have to say, just being in her presence and becoming friends with her throughout the process, but being in her presence on stage, she set the tone. And I know she helped do that on Schitt's Creek as well, where it was just, she's so completely lovable and likable in a real, genuine way. There's nothing she's putting on. She's completely present. I sometimes get nervous and talk too much and talk too fast. Annie Murphy is even keel, just smiling at you and just taking you in. It's a trait I love so in her, but she made time for everyone on our set, and had different relationships with everyone on our set. And without her, I don't think Allison, that character, would be the character that she is. I think a woman trying to kill her husband, it's a hard theme. And without it being in the hands of somebody as talented as Annie Murphy and lovable as Annie Murphy, I think that we would really, we'd falter. So she's filthy and irreverent and in the best way. And, you know, I love her. She's somebody that I can call about anything. And she just, there's no judgment. There's no, she's just there for an ear. And I don't think that I'm the only person in her life that she does that for.
I want to end by asking, is there a trait or a characteristic or mindset or something that Patty has that you are kind of inspired by and want to adopt in your own life?
I would consider myself a fiercely loyal friend. And I think that Patty is that. But I do sometimes not always take up for myself in the way that I think Patty starts to at the end. So the kind of getting to play that transformation and really like growing in her confidence to be able to say like no is really hard for me. Like you can say no to people and be kind and, you know, just kind of have your boundaries set, I think is something that I'm constantly learning and trying to remember that it's not going to be a black mark, you know, on my sheet, you know, that I can, and, you know, if I'm ever in a situation, which it doesn't happen often, but I feel like Patty wouldn't take any shit from anybody. And sometimes I do, and then go vent about it over here when really you can just say, hi, I'd like for you not to talk to me that way. Or, you know, address it kind of in time, because I feel like it's a female trait too, that we go, I can handle that. I can handle that. And I can smile and nod through that. And Patty, I feel like in the last episodes, especially, taught me a lot about kind of sticking up for yourself and being really true to yourself and not having to maybe like bitch over here, but to handle something. Confrontation is not the worst thing that can happen. It sometimes is like a bridge to more understanding and personal boundaries and, you know, a real open dialogue.